Guys, in this video, I want to go over how I went from a job I hated, literally living at home with my parents in the basement, that stereotypical idea, to achieving financial freedom and traveling the world. I also, through the story, want to show you how you can do this too, even in a more relatively shorter time than I did, and I did it fairly quickly, I like to think. But I'm going to teach you how you can do it even quicker if that's something that you want. And even if it's not to go traveling the world or do things of that nature and you just want financial freedom, you just want the freedom to do more things, whatever it is you want to do, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as me. I want to give you the tools and the ideas and the inspiration to go off and do that. So that's coming up next. Hi guys, my name is Dave and this is HeartSpace. And if you haven't been here before, we release videos every single day to help you live life in a free way. And again, that can look different for you than it does for me. But for me, living in a free way is being able to do what you want each and every single day at whatever time you want to do it, being able to live from your passion, from your heart. And so if you want more videos that are going to align you with that are going to help you move from that kind of place, that are going to help you actually achieve financial freedom, to travel the world if that's what you want, or just start doing more of the things you truly want to do, hit that subscribe button and bell icon down below so you don't miss any of the content that we release. Now, I want to go over a little bit of my story of how, like I said, I went from a job that I absolutely hated. I was living in my mom's basement at the time. That very stereotypical early 20s story of, I was in my mom's basement and I figured a way out and all this other stuff. But I want to go over how I did it and how I ended up in this incredibly beautiful place right now, in control of my own financial future, with my finances just growing more and more while I'm doing something that I love. I didn't just get out of that situation by going off to a job I hated, although I had opportunities to do so, to get higher paying jobs at like call centers and stuff like that would have gotten me out of my parents' house, but would have probably led to my soul being sucked out through my throat and sold to someone, just because I would have hated actually doing that job. And I don't think that's the point of life. I think we're here to express ourselves. We're here to love. We're here to do the things that are going to help us grow as spiritual beings. And I really do believe that means you have to have the freedom to do what you want to do on a daily basis, to grow in the ways that you want. And if you're stuck at a 9 to 5 that you hate, that's taking up a lot of the time that you would be doing that during. And so I'm going to be going over my story in this video to hopefully inspire you and give you some ideas of how you can do the same. Now, before we start, I want you in the comments to write, "I am living my dream life now." And I'm going to be going over the importance of statements like this because I started believing this before it manifested in the physical reality. And if you've been watching my channel for a little bit now, you'll know that I'm a firm believer that the inner world has to come first. Your belief has to come first before it manifests in the external world. And so put that down there. I am living my dream life now. And if you can actually start to believe that, if you can start to attach yourself to that statement energetically and align yourself to it, you're going to find that your outer environment is going to shift. So it's very important that you actually write that down there. And the reason I get you to write things in the comments is because it's not just thinking about it, it's not just speaking about it, it's actually taking a physical action and putting it out there into the universe. And that is way more valuable than you could ever imagine. So put that down in the comments. Anyway, let's get into it. So let's go back about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even less than that. I was working at a job that I absolutely hated. I was working in a retail job. And before that, I actually was kind of skipping from retail job to retail job after college. I left college pretty early. I didn't complete college. It wasn't for me. I never showed up to my classes. There was only one class that I made sure I was on time for, showed up and participated in, and that was ironically my philosophy class, which I absolutely loved because it taught you to think for yourself and actually be self-educated and actually go out there and do your own research and all these different things, which was a very new concept to me, at least in the form of traditional education, where my experience with traditional education before that was this is the way things are and you have to learn this, this, and that, and this is what success looks like, blah, blah, blah. But I was fortunate when I was 19 in this philosophy class to get an incredible professor who I actually became close to during that semester, who taught us to think for ourselves and taught us to have our own debates and our own inner dialogue and be able to discuss things in a way where we weren't just giving in to the status quo and all these different things. We learned about Plato, Aristotle, different Greek philosophers, a lot of Stoicism, but a lot of idealism idealism as well, because I believe Plato was the founder of idealism. I may be incorrect there, but it was one of them, Plato, Socrates, or Aristotle. And so this really opened my eyes, and I really do believe my self-development journey started from that place. But anyway, after college, I fell more into a trap of going into retail job, falling into the trap of trading my time away for money. And so I was in these situations of just being around negative people, being in negative environments, living at home, which was not something I necessarily wanted to do, but I had to from a financial standpoint and was willing to do while I built up these other things in the background. And what I have to share with you here is the idea that your beliefs will eventually shape your physical surroundings. And everything in your initial environment, especially when you're not doing so well in the traditional sense in life, so you're working a retail job, you're in your parents' basement, there's going to be a lot of people that criticize you and push you into things that you don't want to be pushed into. For example, maybe getting a full-time job that you hate, but at least it pays you like $30,000 or $40,000 a year, which will be just enough to maybe go live in your own crappy apartment or whatever else it is. And there's nothing wrong with doing that to a certain point, but I experienced so many people in these retail jobs that were full-time or in other places that were just miserable. Sure, they had enough money to live in their own place and do all these things, but they got trapped in those places, living a life of just quiet desperation, hating their lives. And you could see it in their demeanor, in the way they spoke, and the way they acted. And I decided very, very early in my 20s I was not going to do that, these retail jobs were definitely a means to an end. And luckily that's the case it was. But while I was in these retail jobs, I firmly believed that this was not always going to be the case, that I was going to be able to start my own business, that I was going to be able to have, a successful business around something I love. And I started my first business when I was 21 called Simply Soccer, which many of you may be familiar with. Maybe I was 22. I think 22 or 23 was how old I was. And I started my first business around a passion of mine, which was soccer. I played soccer my whole life. I played at a really good level. I'd always been a really good player. I was very passionate about the sport. And I just one day decided I'm going to start a YouTube channel and try and teach others the things I know about soccer. And then I just noticed, I'd go to my retail job and I'd be thinking about stuff I'm going to create on my YouTube channel for Simply Soccer. This thing dominated my thoughts. And one of the ways to understand what your passion is or what you really should start building in the background while you're doing other things that maybe you have to do in the moment, like work a retail job or whatever, is what is it you're thinking about when you're at those things? What is the things that you're obsessed with when you're, going off to those things you feel like you're obligated to do in order to earn money or whatever else it is? What are those things you're obsessed with? And to start actually building something in that direction. And so I started really slowly building my Simply Soccer YouTube channel around the thing I was passionate about. And I started creating videos pretty consistently. I would try and release them whenever I could, 2 or 3 videos a week. And I just did that in the background for a while. But I always had this belief in the back of my mind that one day Simply Soccer would be something that would be my full-time income, would allow me to do things like travel the world, meet like-minded people, and do incredible things. Now, I could just skip to the end and say that's exactly what happened, and it is. But I want to give you a bit more context of how this all came about. And so I kept creating videos for Simply Soccer, and I had my retail job. Now I'm going to fast forward to a certain point that was pivotal in my growth and actually allowed everything to explode in the last probably 2 or 3 years or so. I would say in the last 3 years, it was this decision that really allowed things to happen much more quickly. And it was when I went all in on the thing I knew in my heart was right to be all in on. And it was around this time 3 years ago that I started listening to my heart and started listening to what it is I actually wanted in my life. And so Simply Soccer at that time was what I wanted. I wanted to create. I wanted to be someone who worked for myself. I wanted to be someone who would be able to work from anywhere in the world. And creating YouTube videos, creating content online, teaching something that I'm passionate about, helping people in that way was a way in which I could do that. And so I remember at a point I went, I have to quit my retail job. I just have to. And I didn't think about this for weeks upon weeks. I just knew that this day would one day come. I gave my 2-week notice, and immediately right then and there, it forced me to put all of my attention on my passion and what my heart was telling me to put my energy in. And I knew in my heart, despite I was still forming certain beliefs, I was still wrestling with certain things, but I knew in my heart that I was going to be okay and that this was the right decision. And so about 3 years ago, I quit my job. I was just working working at just a normal retail kind of grocery store type job. You know, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't good or bad. It was just really boring. It wasn't something I really wanted to do. It wasn't the environment I wanted to be in. And it was something I knew I had to move on from eventually, and to really pursue my passions and the things I wanted to pursue. And I had at this point, when I quit this retail job, this vision of what I wanted my life to be like. I knew what I wanted. And you guys know on this channel how much I talk about having a vision, having that thing, that goal in mind that you're moving towards, having it crystal clear, like you are so sure of what it is you want. You have that perfectly painted vision, crystal clear image of the way you want your life to move into. And that is so important, guys, because without that vision, you will get trapped in that job you don't like. You will get trapped in that relationship you know is not good for you. You'll get trapped in some kind of circumstance that truly isn't what you want, but you'll get sucked into just complaining and focusing and trying to survive that situation if you don't have a vision. Because when you have a vision, you can allow yourself to get sucked into the vision, which will allow the other things to just fall away. And it will allow for decisions like quitting that job you hate to pursue your vision, or to allow friendships and other things that don't support your vision to fall apart, or whatever else it is. And so I really invested in that vision, and it's what led me to finally going, okay, it's time to quit this job. And so I quit the job and I fully immersed myself into Simply Soccer. And I started creating videos almost every single day, and my channel started to explode. And I mean, I had maybe like 10,000 followers on that channel, which was really awesome. I was incredibly grateful for that. I started creating videos every single day, and I then exploded within a year to over 100,000 followers on my channel. Because I now wasn't someone who was doing it part-time, my passion part-time. I was someone that now saw myself as a full-time creator, as someone who was a full-time creator on YouTube, or a full-time YouTuber, or a full-time coach, a full-time on Simply Soccer in my business. I wasn't something I was doing as a side hustle now. This was what I was doing. And when I aligned with that identity, you know, the things fell into place that allowed my physical reality to reflect what I was feeling inwardly. And that is why it's so important. You know, again, people like to have that plan B, that safety net. But the problem is, when you have that safety net, energetically, what you're communicating to the universe is you don't have faith in the thing that you truly want to do. You know, Will Smith says famously, I don't like having a plan B because it distracts from plan A. And it's so true. Because if you have that safety net, you're like, you know, I'll do this side hustle that I'm really passionate about, but, you know, I'm just going to put a little bit of energy into it while I do this other thing that, you know, gives me the security, or I don't like it, but it does this A, B, and C. And look, that's not bad. You know, some people never even do the side hustle. Start out as a side hustle. That's what I did. It was a side thing, right? It was a passion. It was just a side thing I was doing. But I always knew that at some point in time, it was going to be the main thing. And I knew at one point in time, I needed to take the leap of faith. And there will be a point in your life where you need to take a leap of faith. Your transformation will not happen unless you take a leap of faith. It just won't. You know, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to remove yourself from an old pattern, remove yourself from something that is holding you back, and it's going to be a little scary. You know it's a leap of faith when it's scary, but you're going to have to make that if you actually want to transform your life, if you want to actually do what I'm talking about here, if you actually want to go from that unfulfilled life to that life where you are living in just the most fulfilled way. And that's how I feel now. And so I did that. I kept growing my business, and I was starting to finally get an income from the business. I was learning all these things because now my energy was focused on this thing. I dove into the deep end. And something one of my mentors says is, when you dive in the deep end, all you can do is swim. Like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. What is the worst that can happen? You know, you could go out there and try and fail on your passion, and actually, trust me, if you keep going, you won't fail. You know, people think like, I'll go out there and I'll try it for a month and I fail, I'll come back. No, if you keep going, it will be successful. If you put all of your energy, all of your being into that passion, it will eventually be successful. Do what you need to do to allow that to happen in the meantime, but it will be if you stick with it and you know in your heart it's the right thing. Because what I've learned is your heart will not lead you astray, ever. It just won't. And so I was at this point where I was creating, I was learning how to make more money online through my business. I was learning how to create better, all these different things. And then I decided I wanted to move to Thailand. And this is when, again, I started creating this new vision. Now, in my vision, I already knew I wanted to move to another country and all this, but now I had specificity, and I want to go to Thailand. And I think within about 6 months or a year of when I had that vision, bam, I was in Thailand. Because now that I had that vision and I was investing in that vision, I was putting my energy and aligning with that vision, I started doing things like saving money for Thailand deliberately. I started doing things like doing a bunch of research to see what I needed, visa things, all of this different stuff. And suddenly now it wasn't just someone who had an interest in moving to Thailand. I started identifying as someone who was in Thailand. And so all of the things I needed in order to make that happen in my physical reality started to come to fruition. And just one day I announced I'm going to Thailand. And a couple of weeks later, I was gone. I was in Thailand, and I've been here now for about a year and a half. And this has continued throughout the days. I went, you know what? I want to start a channel that is like this, that is more self-development. It's around topics I'm really interested in. It's about how I did all this stuff, manifested this stuff, started living a life that I wanted to live, started living a fulfilling life, because this is teachable. This is something that everyone can do. I want to create something, an outlet, a resource, something that can help people do the same. And so I created HeartSpace. And then I started going, okay, I'm going to start creating videos as often as I can. That's the stage I'm in now. I'm going to use what was successful with Simply Soccer. Again, identify myself as the person that has a successful channel in this niche, and I'm going to do what that person would do because I already see myself as that person. And so I'm starting to create videos every single day, or as close to as I can, on this channel. And it's growing really, really quickly. And I have no doubt in my mind, complete faith that this channel will grow to, hundreds of thousands of followers, maybe even millions. I have no doubt in my mind. My first goal is to get to that 100,000 mark, to create a sustainable business with HeartSpace, to reach as many people and help as many people as I can with this platform, with HeartSpace, with this channel. And there isn't a single shred of doubt in my mind that I can do it. I know I can do it. I actually know it's already done, and it's just about me aligning with that already finished product, that already finished reality of HeartSpace being successful, and then continuing from there. I know it's a foregone conclusion, and that is something to keep in mind while you're going through this process. You have to have faith. Without the faith, nothing happens. Your subconscious mind will cling on to whatever you give it. And so if you have this vision and you have faith that it is going to come to pass, you will communicate that to the universe, to your subconscious mind, and it will run with it. And it will give you evidence in your physical reality. It will give you thoughts. It will give you people. It'll give you opportunities, open doors to you that align with your belief, which is the faith that it is going to come to pass. But in the same way that it will do that, it will also do the opposite if that's what you give it. So if you say, this is my vision, but I don't really think I can do it, I'm doing this against all odds, it's going to be super, super hard to do this, then guess what? That's what you're now communicating to the universe and to your subconscious. And suddenly it's going to continually give you things that make it really difficult. Make it so you probably want to quit over and over again. Make all of these obstacles in your way that, again, you don't need to have there. But when you have faith that it will come to pass, you can relax, you can be at ease, and you will start doing all of this stuff from a place of easiness, from a place of simplicity. And guys, whether you figured it out or not yet, the universe flows pretty simply. It's a very simple process to make all of this work. It is actually our overthinking mind that usually trips us up. The process is pretty simple. Your inner leads to your outer. That is pretty much the whole thing when it comes to the law of attraction and all these different things. There aren't really that many steps or things to keep in mind. It really is what you believe internally, what you see internally for yourself, and what you actually believe, have faith, and align yourself to is what will manifest externally. And if you can just stick to that, have faith in that, it will come to pass. But we have all these things we overthink on, like, for example, maybe you want to do what I did and you go, well, how am I going to even do that? Where am I going to get the money? You're demonstrating these ideas and energetic resonance of doubt. And guys, nothing will kill your dream, your vision. Nothing will prevent you from doing what I did or beyond or whatever else it is you want to do than doubt. And just remember, when it comes to choosing between doubt and faith, you can only choose one. There is no choosing both. There is no, I'm going to doubt this and have faith in this. No, it's one or the other. You cannot be on one frequency and be on the other at the same time. And for me, guys, if you have a vision, if you have an idea of what you want, see yourself as being that already and have faith that it will come to pass in physical reality. See that in the background, in the metaphysical world, in the energetic world, which moves much faster, moves like that instantaneously, faster than the physical realm, see that it is already manifested, that it already completed in that metaphysical world, and understand that the physical world is limited by Newtonian physics, and so it takes a little longer to come into your physical world. But how you know what you believe inwardly is just look at your outward world. If you, for example, are in a beautiful place with beautiful people and living a beautiful life, it means you probably have an incredibly beautiful inner world, an inner garden, a garden that you've cultivated, given the seeds, the thoughts, the ideas that you've then continually watered. And if you want to make this happen, that's what you need to do. Think of your vision like a garden. Think of having this inward mind garden, and you're planting the seeds with your thoughts, the way you speak, your actions in this garden. And then every time you rethink those thoughts, you're watering these seeds. And eventually, after a certain time of gestation, which is just how things in the physical world work, guys, you know, a tree doesn't pop up overnight. It needs time. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be cared for. A plant, a flower doesn't pop up overnight. It needs to be watered. It needs to be looked after. It needs to get the right amount of sun for it to pop up into physical manifestation from the seed. Your thoughts, your ideas, your visions are those seeds. And if you keep, again, reiterating those thoughts, you keep having them over and over again, these good-natured, positive thoughts towards your vision, that is you watering the seed that will eventually sprout into your physical reality. And I've seen this work way too many times to not believe it to be so. And it can happen for you too. So guys, whether it's you want to quit a retail job like I had that honestly made me miserable, cultivate your inner world, achieve financial independence like I did as well, and then travel the world, or you want to do something completely different. It doesn't matter what the thing is, guys. It's not like, oh, this works only in this direction to this thing. This will work for anything. But if you apply the things I gave you in this video today, guys, I promise you that in some time from now, you will be sitting in the vision that you have today. If you can visualize yourself feeling the end desired result right now, and you can continue to feel that, you have to, by law, eventually align to it in the physical realm, and it will come to you. And then your job is to then just take the actions that the universe aligns to you, and it will come. But you got to have that faith. You got to have that vision. You have to see that there is something new waiting for you. And if you do that, I promise you it will come to pass. Anyway, guys, I hope that story that I just riffed and went on a million tangents on has been helpful to you in some way. This stuff really does work. I want it so bad for you. I really want you to be able to experience a lot of the things that I've experienced and beyond that, and whatever it is you want to experience. Because again, like I said, I really do believe we are here to expand as spiritual beings. We are here to experience. We are here to grow. We are here to evolve. And, you know, living life in the way that you don't want to live it is contracting, not expanding. So guys, as always, I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.